Soothing the Savage Bipolar Beast is the title of the latest installment of Ezekiel Kralen's ongoing story about the dogs. And it begins, subject, what me worry? Maintaining a cool demeanor through any of Deke's tirades appears to be paying off. And it's about time. Anyone who says I have the patience of a saint will gain an instant friend in me. He gave me 5 devices to charge last night, 2 speakers and 3 smartphones. One speaker was water damaged and wouldn't even charge. The other he just acquired, hefty for its small size, but a loose wire connected to a small chip hung out of it and thus was defunct as well. When I told him neither is operable, he went into a snit, accusing me of breaking them. You don't take good care of your electronics, I rebutted. You drop them, bang them around, get them wet, then you expect me to work a miracle, and if I don't, it's all my fault, and you sometimes bring me a device that's already broken, so you can guilt-trip me when I bring it back downstairs and tell you it doesn't work. This is nonsense, Deke. He calmed down in a short while, much sooner than usual, so the evening overall was pleasant. He saw to the pup's warmth and comfort with a pile of clothes for a nest right beside the shopping cart. Somehow he managed to keep all his possessions dry, except those speakers, through our latest rainfall. Dogs were dry as well, and clearly in good spirits. So this morning I looked out the window and didn't see him sleeping at the corner, so assumed he had eventually departed at a wee hour. But upon stepping out, there they were, camped immediately to the right of the gate. Deke was sitting up against the plywood, awake but groggy, and enjoying the warm rays of the morning sun. The hounds greeted me with joy, of course, and I told him I'm going for coffee now, but as soon as I return, I'll tend to the dog's needs and his. He was out there for a bit over 2 hours, futzing around with stuff from his cart while the mutts rested in the sunlight upon a heap of clothing. When he was ready to go, I brought down his gizmos and noticed Deke had thoroughly cleaned up after himself, but another indigent was hanging around the same area with his own debris scattered about. That's not my stuff, he commented as I crouched down to engage with the mongrels. I picked up everything that was mine. I know, I saw, I replied. Thank you. I then watched them cross Noe Street, waved at the doggies every time they looked back at me with sweet regret, and then turned hovel. Minus that piddling tantrum last night, our meet-up was mellow. Deke was otherwise friendly and courteous, especially this morning. No edginess or sharp retorts, just a pleasant energy, which makes me consider that his aim had been all along to bring me to the point where I did not suffer even a twinge of resentment toward his snotty behavior, but forged through it in a calm and even joyful manner, having faith in my own rightness. Assuming he really is my bodhisattva guardian, this makes good sense, which explains why he has been less reactive lately to my criticism of his childish behavior and has not persisted with prolonged rants in response like he used to. He sees I am finally over the hump in dealing better with conflicts, that they become more readily resolved, for it is a lesson learned that I can apply to every other crisis that comes my way. As a consequence of such an amiable meet-up, I enjoyed a relaxing 2 hours just lying down on my cot and watching some enjoyable videos of the horror genre, original animation and tales by brilliant amateurs, rather than dealing with little bursts of angst throughout the day, because worried about the dogs or Deke's most recent offenses. In conclusion, it is really, really fucking nice not to worry about anything. P.S. He mentioned something about a local photographer pasting a poster of him on the ATM plywood. I told him that would be great, as the folks depicted now are not from here, and he deserves the recognition. Subject: disappointing response from my attorney. Quoting my attorney: they are technically too late. They should have filed it within 5 days of the order in August. However, there is not much we can do right now. It seems that if they don't take the case to trial within 3 years, we can file a motion to dismiss the case for failure to prosecute. See Civil Code of Procedure Section 583.420. We could reach out to opposing counsel, but we also don't want to poke the bear. If they end up filing an amended pleading now, we will file a motion to strike a late-filed pleading, but with our current housing judge, there is no guarantee that we will win such a motion. The court can still decide to allow the amended complaint, and then your case will start moving again. Either way, I think you should come bring the rent money into the trust account for the past months and for future months. You will need to bring a money order or cashier check, no personal check, payable to San Francisco Peninsula Lawyers Group. I am not sure why they are not dismissing the case at this point, but it is important that we save the money. If you want, I can reach out to the opposing counsel asking him when they are going to dismiss the case, but like I said, we maybe don't want to poke the bear, but curious what your thoughts are. End quote. 3 whole fucking years waiting to try to have the dogs back inside. This is outrageous. I'm going to ask Magdalena if it is feasible to go ahead with my own lawsuit for false accusations and harassment. I'd say prolonging their case is also a form of harassment. She doesn't want to poke the bear, but what harm would that really do? The worst that will happen is a judge will deny the motion, right? I thought it was part of her job to get the case closed as soon as possible, but 3 whole fucking years? I'm going to mull this over for a day or two before posting any further queries. Disappointing response from my attorney. Watson wrote, exasperating, and then 5 bang marks after that. So I replied, to weigh me down with such a nightmare for at least 3 more years is disgusting. More immense heartbreak than exasperation. I think blah blah's strategy is to delay my ability to sue them, as I may not be able to do so until their case is resolved. Since if they know they're going to lose, they may as well drag it out, hoping I'll move on. Then it would take 2 or 3 more years to get a settlement in my favor, if at all. Will the dogs even live that long? And as Magdalena told me early on, judges in San Francisco are mostly pro-landlord these days. There is something absolutely wrong with this picture. Here's my reply of a few moments ago. Quote, thank you for the thorough explanation. I want to mull this over for a day or two, after which I will send you another email with one more question. Meanwhile, I'm going to procure a cashier's check for the sum of my rent from June through December and bring it to your office for deposit. I presume I can just walk in during business hours and someone will take care of it. I will probably do that tomorrow or another day very soon. End quote. Meanwhile, Deke is out there right now, slumped and asleep by the ATM plywood after I gave him advance payment for Thursday whence he picked up a bite to eat at Chevron while I watched the pups. They did not have their sweaters on, and I think they weren't wearing them for the past 2 bone-chilling days, even though I know he has them stashed deep beneath a pile of clothing, blankets, and weighty whatever else. He said he doesn't want to deal with unloading everything now to get them. I was tempted to tell him I'm not going to charge his devices until he puts them on, but I had 2 new doggy jackets upstairs. Telling Deke that this court case is going to stretch on for 3 more years is not going to go over well at all. He'll hold it against me, always. If he dies on the streets... pause for just a moment, I'm sorry. I did. Every once in a while I touched it in a funny way and the text got tiny and then I lost where I was in the... Okay, good. Wow. If he dies on the streets or disappears and leaves the hounds stranded, I won't be able to adopt them. I probably won't even know what happened to them. I just thought of something. All I have to do is plug a keyboard into the tablet, and I can use the up and down arrows to scroll. I'll do that next week. Okay. Wow, I don't know why that didn't occur to me before. P.S. Deke didn't even bother to lay down something cushy for Flacco and Lucky. He just dozed off, leaving them to sit on the cold concrete lashed to the cart. I put the comforter down for them myself and the coat, both of which I extracted from his pile of clothing. How could he let them just sit there out in the chill air, Fahrenheit dropping as the sun sets, and not even be able to curl up beside him? He's still there now, asleep. At least I got to hug and pet the doggies, let them know how loved they are, and they ate a hearty meal. I'd go down there to keep them company right now, but they're more interested in keeping warm, cuddled up in their tiny lair, so I'd rather not disturb them for my own pleasure. Subject. He departed on a sour note, though not too badly. Deke's been pretty civil for the most part. In fact, I was across Market Street returning with an empty laundry cart when he called to me from outside my building. I waved back at him as I waited for the green light. And when I showed up, told him I need to get back to the laundromat in a half hour to pick up my second load. He made sure to return within minutes after purchasing a burrito from Chevron, and once he got back and requested I bring his devices upstairs, he made sure to remind me not to forget my laundry. It was when I arrived back hovel with my wash, I saw him dozing alongside the ATM plywood and the dog sitting patiently beside the cart, so I decided to make them comfy and warm with that blanket and coat stuffed away. Later, when he awoke and called to me, I stepped outside expecting him to be angry that I freely rummaged through his shopping cart and got some items dirty by throwing them on the sidewalk, but he didn't say a word about it, so that's 2 gold stars for him at that point. But wait, there's more. A good 2 hours passed before he was ready to collect his electronics, but when he called up to my window, he also said, "Did you take my money?" I shook my head no. He was talking about the wad of lettuce in his partly open hand as he slept. Twice I woke him to tell him to pocket it, else someone else might come by and swipe it, yet even though he said okay, they remained in his hand. The second time I alerted him, he did close a fist around the bills, and I left it at that. Apparently his hand opened again as he drifted off. "You should have taken it," he grouched. "No, you should have stuck it in a pocket," I replied in a matter-of-fact voice, and then said, "It's really cold outside, so I'd appreciate you go through the trouble of finding their sweaters." "I'm not worried about that," he interjected. "Well, I am," I answered back, and then pulled out those 2 doggy jackets from my backpack. "If you can't bother with the sweaters, then put these on. They don't fit around their chests, but they'll stay on and keep their tops and sides warm." "I'm pissed right now. I don't want to hear this," he griped. "Okay, I'll just leave them here," I replied, and laid them down where the pups were snuggled together beneath the coat. Flaco poked her head out to greet me, then rolled over on her back for belly rubs. As I crouched down to scritch her sweet little tummy, I heard Deke mumble, "They stole $12. Now I got just 25. He added, "They also stole his green backpack that was lying on top of his cart." I looked to see it. Sure enough, it was gone. Then I noticed something else missing. "Looks like they stole your speaker, too." That was a large one on wheels I offered to stash for him upstairs till he was ready to depart, but he waved his hand in an annoyed fashion and told me no, just leave it there. I decided then to conceal the speaker under 3 pairs of pants also in the cart. "Oh, fuck, I didn't see that. You're right," he exclaimed. "Honestly, Watson, it was a crappy speaker to begin with, so I'm glad it was gone, since now I wouldn't have to deal with a wonky connection that failed last time I plugged it in, for which he accused me of breaking. I think he was telling the truth about his backpack and speaker being stolen, as it's highly unlikely he moved them somewhere else so I wouldn't see them, and it is possible that some thief absconded with the moolah, as it's a cinch to pluck from the hand of one who sleeps like a hibernating ground squirrel, besides which he is very well known among the homeless, including how loudly he dozes off, soundly he dozes off, sometimes with cash in his grubby Cajun paw. So they all know he's easy pickings. Oh, dear. Okay, I found it again. Until I solve this problem with the keyboard, I'm going to have to just keep my fingers away from the screen unless I'm moving it one way or the other. That's really a bitch when that happens. "It's your fault," he mumbled. "You weren't watching my stuff. But I already offered to stash the speaker upstairs for you, and I would have gladly held onto your backpack as well if you asked," I retorted. "I woke you up twice to tell you to pocket your bills, so how is that my fault?" He didn't respond to that, but started to pack up his stuff. So I told him, "I'm going to Rosenberg's now, and I'll be back in 5 minutes." But upon returning, I saw him crossing Market Street perpendicular to where I stood on the corner of Noe and 16th as I waited for the light to change. The dogs were not wearing those jackets. So I wondered if he'd just left them on the sidewalk, but upon reaching the front gate, I saw he did not. Hopefully he'll put them on in a short while, keeping my fingers crossed on that one. I want to point out now, Watson, that he didn't make much of a stink over the stolen moolah and other items, including not trying to coerce me into handing him 12 buckazoids. I was, however, tempted to do just that without his asking, but I stopped myself and thought, no, bad idea. So no drama queen hissy fit, no insulting me, and no screaming. He remained calm in his griping, and it was brief to boot. Big change from the old Deke, I'd say, and for that I give him 1 more gold star. 3-in-1 meetup. As for this grievous update of the landlord's case against me, something's got to give in my favor soon. Though I can't imagine how at this point in time. I think I'll pray to Artemis tonight, for whom Canis familiaris is most beloved. It'll be good meditation, if nothing else. Didn't I post you just 2 days ago a piece called What Me Worry? Then look what happened. It's another challenge I must answer to, starting with flushing out this latest sudden attack by the devils of dismay. Though I must also note, if this is yet another plot hatched by my bodhisattva guardians, who include not just Deke but my attorney and landlord as well, in order to strengthen my mettle, all I have to say is job well done, teachers. He departed on a sour note, though not too badly. Watson wrote, glad it was only $12. Sheesh. And glad you didn't offer to replace it. So I replied, no matter how pleasant a meet-up, he almost always finds a monkey wrench to throw into it. Watson wrote, I always look for the moment of doggy contact in these stories. It's like the prize in the Cracker Jack box, only better. So I replied, imagine a monster owning these sweet little creatures. And whenever you show them some love and they respond in kind, his eyes flame like jealous embers, and you fear he may take it out on them behind your back. So maybe you should start giving the pups a cold shoulder. And that's the frightening situation I'm in. I think he denies them sweater warmth because he knows it matters to me. And next week, I suppose, we'll find out what happens after that.